President Trump is working to make good on his campaign promise to overhaul the Department of Veterans Affairs, and an executive order is expected to be rolled out any day now. Earlier, VA Secretary David Shulkin giving a preview of what to expect and reiterating that the Trump administration has no plans to privatize the agency.
I can say definitively that we have no intention, and it would be a bad decision to think about privatizing the VA. And so what you end up with is an integrated system of care, taking for veterans what the VA does and is so important to maintain for veterans, as well as what the VA is not doing and not doing well, and allow veterans access to those services in the private sector.
So what does the VA need to focus on to help veterans now? Joining me is Jake Wood, the CEO and founder of Team Rubicon, a veteran-led disaster response organization. He is also a former sniper in the Marine Corps. I want to ask you about your organization in a minute, but let me ask you first about your reaction to what you heard. I mean, do you think that's the right plan, to not privatize it?
I think it makes sense. You know, the reality is that many of the medical challenges that veterans are facing when they come back from combat and conflict overseas are very, very unique to the veteran space. There are some things that private health care can do very, very well, but the realities are that there are some very significant challenges, medical challenges, that are facing veterans, that having a closed ecosystem makes a lot of sense. It should be integrated along lines where, you know, there are expertise and efficiencies in the open market, but there are certainly things that the VA needs to do.
It is a disgrace the way it stands right now. We see the stories all the time, and we are not doing right by our veterans. What do you think needs to change first, though?
Well, listen, I think the VA's made a lot of progress, both under the former Secretary Bob McDonald, and under the new Secretary Shulkin. I think they'll continue to improve. They have been getting more money, larger budget. They've really streamlined the digital experience for veterans, and they still have room to improve there. But you know, they've pulled together all these disparate websites and digital tools. They've made a single front door for veterans to walk into through the VA. That's a huge improvement, and it's able to deliver better services more consistently.
Yeah. Let me ask you about your organization, because you do something really special to empower veterans and you know, really give them a purpose of helping others.
Yeah, so we started Team Rubicon about 7 years ago after the Haiti earthquake. And what we learned was that veterans, we've put a lot of money into their skill, into their training, and they come home and they're returning to all these communities across the United States, and we're not asking them to continue to put those skills to use. So what Team Rubicon does is organize and train, retrain them, and then redeploy them into disaster zones as volunteers to help our communities, to help piece them back together after disasters. What we found is that there's a real role for restoring that sense of purpose and community within our veterans. And that is really the foundation for a healthy transition. The VA has a role. Education has a role, getting the right job has a role, but helping to make that person feel whole again, make them feel that sense of purpose, that sense of identity, there's a real value in using that as a form of reintegration as well.
Not only that, I mean, they're doing work that not a lot of people can do that is desperately needed. I mean, tell us about some of the video we're seeing here. What is the disaster that they came to address?
Yeah, you know, we've responded all over the world and all throughout the United States, about 175 disasters since we were founded in 2010. So, you know, we're looking at some video from areas in Oklahoma that were impacted by tornadoes. There was Hurricane Matthew last year along the east coast of the United States. We responded in 5 different states on the eastern seaboard in response to that disaster. You know, we're talking about the opportunity to plug into the idle capacity of these veterans in these communities. There's 3 million men and women that have served since Iraq and Afghanistan. You know, how do we tap into that skill? We've invested taxpayer dollars in them. How do we continue to get a return on that investment?
Not only that, I mean, it's work that's desperately needed. If you've ever covered a natural disaster or been in one, you know that it's very physical, the cleanup afterwards, and the help that's desperately needed when people return to their homes and their community, and they need to start picking up the pieces, quite literally. These are things that veterans are uniquely qualified to go into, real physical disasters, and deal with them. If people are watching at home, how can they get involved in your organization? Yeah,
there's a couple of different ways to get involved. You can see the website right there, teamrubiconusa.org. That's obviously the easiest. You could also text America to 87872 just to get more information. I'd encourage any veterans out there that are listening, be it of any generation, going all the way back to World War II. We'd love to have you in some capacity. And if you're someone who didn't serve in the military, we'll take you as well. And if you'd love to support, we're a nonprofit organization, so your money goes a long way.
Jake Wood, CEO and co-founder of Team Rubicon, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate your time. Good for you.